Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Music Den. I'm your host, Armando Venditti, or as I like to call myself these days, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Hoping that you guys are having a fantastic day and that you are indeed looking after yourselves and one another. I want to welcome back to the channel for this wonderful episode, Mr. Ken Cheshire. How's it going, Ken?
Doing fine, Armando. Thanks for having me back, especially for this album.
Glad that you're back. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to welcome you to a very special episode of Live Album Spotlight. Now, we are going to be covering an album and an artist that I have never covered on the channel before. And before we get into the title of this album that we're going to be covering, this idea came from one Jim Bricker. And as you can see, he's conspicuously absent from this episode. Only coffee in my mug, I promise, ladies and gentlemen. Jim has had work duties that has required his attention, so he is bowed out for the next few episodes. He will be back in the weeks to come, and we do miss you, Jim. Now, the task at hand, live album spotlight. In the spotlight, we have Sinatra at the Sands. Now, Frank Sinatra is an artist I've never covered on the channel before. Completely the total opposite of the type of music that we cover on this channel. But Jim has thought so highly of this album that, damn it, we thought, let's cover it. Just a bit of background on the album. From the notes I have, it is Sinatra's first live album, sorry, uh, released in July of 1966 through his own Reprise label before he sold it to Warner Brothers. Has a playing time of 76 minutes and 3 seconds. The album was produced by Sonny Burke, and playing with him on the album, we have Count Basie and the Count Basie Orchestra. And the musical arrangements have been arranged and conducted by one Quincy Jones. I do believe you recognize that name. Uh, Now, the version of the album that we're going to be discussing is the expanded version of the album, featuring 22 tracks. Uh, Now, before I give my take on this album, I'm going to pass the virtual mic over to Ken, and he will partake in his experience with the album over the years. Take it away, Ken.
This is a perfect storm of an album. You've got Frank Sinatra, Count Basie and his orchestra, and Quincy Jones. Quincy Jones,
Triple threat.
I have been known to say that this is my favorite Quincy Jones album. Simply, did all of the arrangements uh, and is conducts the whole thing too.
Hmm.
This album was recorded in '66, and um, Sinatra was, if I'm not mistaken, 50 years old at the time.
Yeah.
Um, he's never sounded better. Actually, the age, um, you hear the age in his voice, but it's not. His voice is not diminished. It's
Not at
got
all. Not at
it's
all.
got it's got more. Oh man, I really don't even know how to explain it. The Sands Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas was is no more, but it was legendary, especially for their live shows
Mhm.
and all of that. And it was eventually mowed down for making a larger hotel and casino. But it's legendary, especially when it comes to jazz. There are many jazz artists that recorded wonderful live albums
Yes.
at the Sands, and this is, for me, it's at the top of the list. And not only does it have Count Basie on piano with his orchestra, um, at this time, Sinatra had a personal pianist. His name was Bill Miller, that he did, I think, 6 albums with and toured with.
Hmm.
Worked very, very closely with Sinatra for two separate periods of time. just a wonderful pianist, and he gets a brief mention and thanks on the album, but he's worked with lots of really great artists in addition to Frank. So I go back with this album to, I believe it was 1985 when I was in college. Um,
Ooh, okay.
I was majoring in voice performance in college, and the leader of the college jazz band invited me to go on tour with the college jazz band and do some vocals. And so I said, "Is there any particular song?" And he said, "Well, at least the song 'I've Got a Crush on You.' Do you know
Hmm.
it?" I said, "Well, no, I don't, but I can fix that real easy." And so I
Hmm.
went to the local record store, and the first album I find that had the song was this one. And so
Yeah,
it's like,
I've
okay,
got a
well,
crush on you, written by George and Ira Gershwin,
yeah,
and
Gershwin.
yeah,
And so I thought, well, I've never had a Sinatra, album. This, and it's a live album, so it's kind of like a greatest hits in a way.
yeah.
And oh my gosh, I just fell in love with this. I fell in love with Sinatra's voice at this point of his
Hmm.
career.
Hmm.
And then the thing about it is that I'm 65 now. I can relate to much more of this album than I could in my 20s because this album has got a lot of, shall we say, heartbreak songs
Yeah, I'll say
and
that.
songs of reminiscence and the past, and it just rings differently for Sinatra, who was 50 at the time, not old, but you know, not a spring chicken like earlier, but it brings another level to most of these songs of him singing them at this time.
Hmm.
Uh,
Hmm.
this album shows he had a wonderful rapport with the audience and engaging in the audience.
Yeah.
Um, and unlike a lot of artists that would just barely address the audience, I mean, um, it's also a good historical marker of this time because there are 2 points in the album in which he kind of does a monologue, so to speak, where he's just chatting with the audience,
Yeah.
and hear him use certain phrases.
Yeah.
Uh, it's like, here's a song about you know the guy's chick flying the coop and took all the bread. You're hearing
Yeah.
all these
Yeah. Yeah. Dane.
60s
Yeah.
phrases
Dane.
and stuff like that. Is like, and it sounds cartoonish now. Guess what? That's the way they spoke back then.
Oh, I
And
know.
he, and
I
he
know.
also throws a lot of shade to like Dean Martin and Sammy Davis Jr. He
Yeah.
was part of this group
Yeah.
called the Rat Pack
Yeah.
at the And
Yeah. I'll
if you
give
don't
in
know
to
who
that.
the Rat Pack is, get online and watch the original Ocean's 11,
Yes.
not the newer one, not the one, yeah. And you'll see all those guys, and it's
Yeah.
there. And what it is basically it's a movie that it's like, okay, we're gonna go party in Vegas. Why don't you film us? There was more partying going on than filming of the film.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was just a thing. And the audience is having a great time, both the music and especially the interjection
Yeah.
with Sinatra on this.
Hmm.
I don't know that this is necessarily the entire show. It could be at the length, but uh, and the mixture of compositions, um, and it's great. I think it's also great because on many of the songs, either before he sings it or after he's done, he gives credit to who wrote the songs. He was
Yeah.
a strong appreciator of the songwriting
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. No, I'll give my 5 cents
Yeah,
after you're done.
shut up.
No, 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 no.
No, no, go ahead. Yeah.
No, I'm new to this. I'm new to this album. I've heard of it. I've known of its existence.
Mhm.
There is only coffee in my mug, ladies and gentlemen. I promise you that. Um, no Bailey's around. But um, what I like about this album, everything. I mean, I was pleasantly surprised with this album. And again, Frank Sinatra is not an artist I've ever covered on the Music Den, but I'm very glad that that Jim Brecker, we miss you, Jim, really, we really do. But I'm glad that he recommended this album because I like the instrumentation. There's a lot of there's no clutter on the album in terms of the instrumentation. There's a lot of separation with the instruments. You can hear everything being played clearly and concisely. There, on the expanded version, which I do believe came out in 2006, um, there's 22 tracks on the album, um, and you are immersed in this album. You are immersed in the Sands Hotel, in the room where the show is being held. It's like you're sitting there with a gin and tonic or even a cup of coffee for the night, and whatever your personal choice of beverage is. I'm a teetotaler myself, but you can sit there and you can enjoy and just sit back, and you are brought back to 1966, back to that time frame, that mindset. There is a lot of banter between Sinatra in the audience because he does a, hey, Goomba, how's it going? Hey, Monguch, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Me being Italian, I get it. I get it. Fucking get out of here. You bum. It's that kind of
Yeah.
mentality.
Yeah.
And I get that. I get that 100%. You know, um, and all the jazz standards are here. I mean, it starts off with "Come Fly with Me." Uh, I'm not going to go through all the 22 tracks, but starts with "Come Fly with Me." I've got a crush on you. I've got you under my skin. The shadow of your smile, which I think is beautiful.
Yes.
Street of Dreams. One for my baby, one for the road. I think it's just fantastic. And when Fly Me to the Moon. And I like the fact that the set is broken up with instrumental pieces, like 1 o'clock jump, which is an instrumental piece that's like 52 seconds. So it's broken up into sections, and it's very palatable for the ear. Sonically, it is a masterstroke in terms of recording. And uh, the version, there are two different versions of this concert. The one version that Ken is referring to is belongs on a set called Sinatra Vegas, which, uh, thanks to Ken, he pointed it out to me. You can get on Amazon.ca for $55. It's done through a secondary seller, but the shipment is fulfilled by Amazon. So Amazon guarantees that you're going to get that shipment.
Yes.
$55 Canadian, $60 American. Have at it. Go have fun. Um, Whatever you want to do. But it is a fantastic snapshot of Sinatra at the time.
Yes.
Um, and you can tell his voice is aging, but you know what? He's still in complete control of what is going on with his voice and with the show. He's what you see on the cover of the album is what is there. He's got the microphone, but he is in complete control of what is going on musically and with the audience. And what I like about it is he doesn't pander to the audience.
Yeah.
He talks to the audience like they're a part of the experience.
Yep.
And you don't get that with a lot of live albums,
Yep.
especially rock albums. You do in some, but in
Yeah.
others, You really don't. So that's what I like about this album. And the banter, the monologue that Ken was referring to is listed on the album as the tea break. I do believe it's track 9 on the album, uh, clocking in at a whopping 11 minutes and 48 seconds. And ladies and gentlemen, whoo, hoo, hoo, he goes to town. He talks about Dean Martin being a drunk, talks about Sammy Davis Jr., about the book. Yes, I can.
Yes.
And he gives his opinion on that. So, I mean, um, but it is simply fantastic. It is simply fantastic.
Yeah,
And he
it's
gives props where props are due.
yes, absolutely.
So,
You've got um, you've got Sinatra, Basie and his orchestra, and Quincy Jones, all three giving 150% in this recording.
yes.
Sinatra is obviously just having a blast, and that really comes across. And yeah, and he doesn't pander to the audience. Matter of fact, when the "Come Fly with Me" starts with the introduction, is when he walks out, and he even makes this little joke before he starts singing. How did all these people get into my room? Because it does have a very intimate
Yeah.
atmosphere
Oh, yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
I don't know how many um, were in the audience or how they had it mic'd, but it does sound like a very intimate, setting, especially considering, oh my God, Basie's orchestra is just unbelievable.
They're in
They do
top
not,
form. They're in
they
top
do
form.
not hold back anything. So, and the fact that they've got a chance, like you said, it's broken up into sections. Um, in addition to phenomenal Quincy Jones arrangements backing Sinatra, you've also got these little segments of just the orchestra shining on their own.
Yeah.
Um, there are songs, particularly one for my baby and one for the road.
Hmm.
I have trouble listening to that without tearing up. It is such an incredibly powerful song and performance. That's an Arlen and Mercer song, who
Yeah.
were
Harold Arlen and Johnny Mercer. Yeah.
yeah, and same thing. Shadow of Your Smile, Johnny Mandel. I mean, these were top-notch composers at the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the heartbreak songs, like I said, especially because he's older, it just carries a different weight.
Yes, and that weight is shown. It's evident in the track, "The September of My
Oh
Years,"
yes, absolutely.
because it talks about that's basically an individual looking back on his life. September being the ninth month of the year, December being the
Yep,
end of the year. This is a man looking back on his life and knowing, looking ahead, thinking and knowing and fully understanding
yep.
that he doesn't have that much time left.
And the same thing with the song "It Was a Very Good Year."
Yeah,
Looking back, on his life, and the other one that's just a real tearjerker to me is the song "Angel Eyes."
yeah,
Just it, it's so emotional. He ends it, and supposedly, um, at the end of the song, he just kind of walks off stage mid mid note,
yeah,
letting the audience soak in the moment before he comes back in for uh, the encore or the
hmm,
finale of My Kind of Town. And so we're talking about My Kind of Town, Fly Me to the Moon. Those songs just hop like crazy, and he's just getting into it like no one's business.
yeah,
Um, I would grant to say that they surpassed most of the studio versions of these songs.
Yeah.
and because this was he did two albums with Basie before this one,
Yeah.
so they had a good working arrangement. They did those Sinatra Basie and it might as well be Swing in
In
'62 and '64,
62. Yeah. Yeah.
and
Uh,
so they had a really good working relationship. Those were great albums. By the way, in addition to the box set, there's supposedly a DVD audio of this album that has a phenomenal 5.1 surround mix. That just reinforces to me how good at this point they were able to get a phenomenal recording of this.
yeah. And yeah, definitely. And you can get the 5.1 audio surround audio, sorry,
Yeah,
5.1 audio on Amazon of this album.
sure.
It's available.
And
So
it's not expensive, you
it's
know.
decent. I think it's in the mid 30s in terms of
Yeah,
pricing.
yeah, it's an SACD, and
Yeah.
that's very reasonable for those. And uh, so yeah, it's uh, whether you're an old man like me or you want to buy something for your dad or granddad in most cases, this is a excellent entry point to Frank Sinatra. It is it's just for live, it's my favorite Sinatra album.
Yeah.
Sure, there is some nostalgia of this album for me, based on um, how I came to this. But yeah, put this, turn off your phone, turn off the television, put on your headphones, sit back in the recliner with a hot or cold beverage of your choice, and just let this take you away. You know,
Yeah.
escape the crap of reality for just this amount of time and enjoy the music, and also you'll laugh.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, because
so
it's a very engaging album, and
it is.
I mean, and for me, listening to this album for the first time, even though I listened to it for the first time, it brought back memories for me. Just, like, because the way he talks, like, hey, Monguch, hey,
Yeah.
what do
Yeah.
you think? Hey, oh, like, what do you think you're doing? Like, it's that kind of feeling, right? That,
Right.
hey, you bum, get out of here. It's that kind of um, old neighborhood mentality, that kind of feeling that you get. And he draws the audience into the conversation, into the monologue, like he'll banter with the audience back and forth,
Yes.
which is what I like. And
Yes. Absolutely. And
you,
I was only 6 or 7 when this was recorded.
I wasn't even born.
Yet
I
it
mean,
yet it takes me back.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
I feel like I'm remembering something that I actually lived through.
yeah,
It's that engaging and personal.
yeah. No, it's true. It's true. Again, from two standpoints, from a purely audiophile standpoint, it is simply fantastic. Musically, uh, sound-wise, it is simply sublime.
Yeah.
Uh, and you know what? I'm glad I took a chance.
Sure.
I'm glad I took a chance. And I've said this before, when you think, if you ever get to a point where you think you know everything there is to know about music, hang it up, walk away, go do something else for the rest of your life, because you know what? You're missing out on a lot of stuff if you honestly believe that. This was a pleasant surprise for me. I did find I did find a used copy of this for Bob online, on Amazon for like $9, and he's going to be pleasantly surprised. And yeah, no, this is simply fantastic.
Yeah, give a listen to on YouTube or any of the streaming services. I
Yeah,
didn't check Apple or but it is on Spotify, so yeah,
Yeah,
use Spotify at least.
you can stream both versions, the original release and the expanded 22 track version on YouTube, depending on how you get your music these days.
Yep.
And yeah, yeah. If you want a new experience, if this is something that is out of your wheelhouse, and you know what? Open the door, expand your wheelhouse, try
Yeah.
something new.
Yeah.
You've got nothing to lose.
Nope.
Nothing to lose, you know. But yeah, I definitely will be. I'm thinking about. I said this to Ken before we started taping. I'm thinking about getting the Sinatra Vegas set. I'm thinking about it. You know, payday's around the corner, but
Yeah.
we'll see. But yeah, for something new and something just different, give it a
Yeah.
shot. Give it a shot.
Yeah.
You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain. You know. Any more notes or observations for this release?
No, this is yeah, this is just a wonderful rabbit hole to go down. So let us know what you think in the comments below
Yes,
about the
yes.
album or other Sinatra albums. Are there other Sinatra that we should cover?
That's right. That's right. I mean, again, this is virgin territory for me. So like Ken says, if there's any other albums that of Sinatra that we should cover, please let us know in the comments down below. And once you've listened to this album, please let us know your opinion on this album in
Absolutely.
particular. And you know what? Like I've said, music is always exciting and different, and there's always another chapter to read about music and discover. So again, I want to thank Ken for joining me on this very special episode of Live Album Spotlight
Well,
featuring Sinatra at the Sands. And yeah, again, a quick shout out to Jim Bricker who recommended this album for us to listen to and to talk about. We miss you. We'll see you very soon. And again, in closing, click like and subscribe and hit the notification bell to keep yourselves on top of any new content we've got coming up. There are more shows that we're percolating in our minds and putting together and formulating, and we'll get them to you as quickly as we possibly can. And we've got more shows coming up. I've got more shows coming up with Bill Schuster. We've got one series that's going to be airing, Tripping Through the 70s, and another one that we're in the process of filming running back to the 80s, which in both series we are taking a look at our top five tracks for each of those decades from 70 to 79 and from 80 to 89, plus two honorable mentions. It's a lot of memories, a lot of tears, a lot of emotion that comes up during these episodes. So please look out for those. And Ken and I will be back with more episodes as soon as we can possibly get them put together. And we'll see you soon. Please look after yourselves and one another. Bye for now.